This is going to save you a ton of time when deciding what kind of kit you want to run for your loadout. This is the absolute best grenades, gadgets, and utilities tier list you'll find. So make sure to save this video and follow for more our creator's guide. Now, I've taken the liberty to make this extremely simple for you guys, and I'm going to lay everything out on the table and explain the most important parts first. Then we're going to go into a deeper dive as to why this tier list is structured as so. All right, the first thing I want to explain is the S tier list. These are the absolute top 4 best items in the entire game. You're not going to get any more value out of any other items. The trigger grenades are obviously still completely broken, but the jolt mine is an incredible stun ability that leaves your opponents completely defenseless. You can't beat this. Also, the sticky grenades are incredible. If you can throw them accurately, they're insane. And finally, big smoke grenades are going to be the best item you can use to reposition or just general resetting in the game. You absolutely need to run at least one of these 4 items in your kit every time that you go into the game with a pre-made loadout. It's going to save you more times than you can even count. Now, unfortunately, because the S tier list is so valuable, honestly, you really don't need to run anything else in the game unless you're using some of the PvE items listed below to take care of arc enemies. All right, let's start from the very bottom here. We have all of the PvE items. Now, these items obviously are for player versus environment, or items that you're not typically going to use against other enemy players. So we have light sticks, deadline mines, lure grenades, wolf pack, secret grenades, noisemakers, photoelectronic cloak, and lure grenade traps. Now, some of these do have some utility against enemy players like noisemakers. You can set these down to sort of place a trap for enemies. Same with lure grenades and lure grenade traps. Now, let's quickly move on to D tier. Unfortunately, in this tier list, these are just some of the worst grenades, trap, and utility in the entire game. We have the pulse mine, which knocks enemy players back and displaces them, the gas trap grenade, which drains enemy players' stamina, the smoke grenade trap, which just pops a smoke grenade in place when triggered, the gas mine trap, which pops a gas grenade when triggered, the flamethrower, which has a very low effective range, and then we have binoculars, which honestly you just don't really use in this game that much. Next, let's talk about C tier. Now, unfortunately, shrapnel grenades are in this class, mainly because of how expensive they are to craft. They require springs, which are some of the most valuable craftable items in the entire game, versus how much utility you actually get from them, which is comparatively low, considering a lot of the other grenades in the game do much more damage. Then we have gas grenade trap, which is just another iteration of gas grenades and traps. It'll drain enemy players' stamina when they run across it, which is not terrible, but obviously not going to be one of the best options. Then we have light impact grenades. Now, these genuinely aren't too bad in the game. One of the biggest issues with light impact grenades is that they require you to throw so many of them, which exposes your character versus how much damage each light impact grenade actually does, which is relatively low. So for a little bit of damage, you have to expose your character a lot, which is something that you should not be doing often. Now let's get into B tier. We're getting into some of the better items in the game for sure. First up, we have the heavy fuse grenade. Now, this grenade honestly does a ton of damage and it's really impressive, and I definitely recommend using this from time to time if you come across them, but they do come at a relatively hefty crafting price tag, and also the delay on the heavy fuse grenade allows for enemy players to reposition before the grenade actually detonates, which just gives too much of a grace period compared to other grenades in the game. Then we have the little smoke grenade. Now, this is a great grenade, but honestly it just kind of falls short because of how quickly it dissipates. But personally, I like to run these, especially considering they are really cheap to craft. Then we have blaze grenades. Now, blaze grenades could be better. They're honestly very good, and I'm just going to touch on this right now because looking at this tier list, the B tier grenades are incredible and I use them often. But the unfortunate situation is the S tier and A tier grenades are legitimately broken. So these B tier grenades just do not come close in value and utility. So yes, the blaze grenade is great. It just doesn't beat out some of the other grenades in the game. Exact same goes for the showstopper. The showstopper is great for trapping enemies and leaving them completely defenseless for a short period of time, but there's just other grenades that provide more utility in the game. Now, let's talk about A tier. Explosive mines. These are some of my favorite mines and gadgets to deploy or run with in the game. Explosive mines are going to be great for signaling whether enemy players are pushing buildings or doorways that you're not currently watching, and it's going to get a little bit of damage off on enemy players, so they are forced to back up and heal, and their position has been completely given away. One of the best mines in the entire game for sure. Next, we have the Trailblazer. These are genuinely incredible, but honestly a little bit too situational to be seen as one of the best grenades or gadgets in the game. Some of the best times you're going to get really good utility out of these are when enemy players are pushing down hallways or you need to clear long corridors. In this situation specifically, the Trailblazer is going to be your best friend. Now, blaze grenade traps. These are personally one of my favorite traps in the entire game, simply because it is absolutely unavoidable amounts of damage if enemy players run into this one. It doesn't take any time. You don't need to watch this one. It doesn't take any time to deploy. Basically, one of the best traps to put at the top of zip lines. Enemy players are going to get disoriented, set on fire, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. Great trap. Then we have door blockers. Honestly, there's not really too much to say about these. These are absolutely incredible. They just re-secure doors after you breach them, and even doors that previously could not have been breached now require enemy players to breach in order to enter your location, and also give away enemy positions. Again, you will hear enemy players breaching if they have to come across your breach that you've set in place. Incredible utility. And we have barricade kits. Honestly, this utility is nuts. Barricade kits can save you more times than you will be able to count. They're great for deploying when you have relatively relatively open area fights, they can easily help you heal, reset, and sway the outcome of your fights. I love these. I definitely recommend them. Now, ziplines. Ziplines are an incredible way to reposition or gain advantageous high ground spots, or even put yourself in an area that enemy players might not expect you to be. I love these, and I use them as often as possible. Now, at the end of A tier, this is the most underrated grenade in the entire game. Obviously, there's a very specific way to use these to get a lot of utility out of them, but tagging grenades, when combined with smoke grenades, give you a secret ability in the game, where if you throw smoke grenades down into a room and then you throw tagging grenades into the room, enemy positions are revealed, but the enemy players can't see you through the smoke. It's completely broken. It's a really underrated play, and also tagging grenades are great for revealing situations, for revealing locations of enemy players hiding in dark corners or corridors. I think that this is easily one of the most underrated grenades in the entire game. Now, before we get into the S tier category, let me tell you my stipulation for this section. All 5 of these S tier items provide completely unique and valuable utility, meaning it's incredibly hard to get the same value from any other item in the entire game versus these top 5 items. For starters, we have the trigger grenade. Obviously, this is currently the most broken grenade in the entire game, for PvP specifically. Reason number 1, it's a remote detonation, which means it does not require impact to detonate. You control the exact time that you want the C4 to go off, and they're not heavy. They have great trajectory, meaning you can throw them far, plus the amount of damage they do is abhorrent. Moving on, jolt mines. One of the best ways to explain jolt mines is they are extremely loud, so they give away enemy positions. They're going to watch your back really well. They're extremely disorienting, meaning anyone that's caught inside of a jolt mine can't really see outside of the jolt mine. Plus, they are completely stunned. It's easily one of the freest utilities in the entire game. It's going to watch your back, it's going to give away enemy positions, and it's going to stun them so that you can get a free kill if you're watching your mine. Next, we have sticky grenades. Now, sticky grenades are awesome because they're completely unique. You can stick them to, meaning the position that you throw them in is exactly where they will land, and they have a relatively short fuse, so they will detonate pretty quickly as well. Plus, they have very high damage capabilities, just like the trigger grenades. Big smoke grenades are the absolute best item for resetting, reviving your teammates, even looting boxes, going for an extract. They just provide the most cover in the entire game. You can't get any more utility out of any other item in regards to support. And finally, we have the snap. Now, the snap hook has the insane value because of the amount of movement you're allotted when you use it. You can reposition instantly, you can get to high ground locations, you can leave, you can enter fights, and you also have 2 charges at one time, meaning you can enter a fight, make a play, and then you can exit on your own volition. So now that we've gone through pretty much every single grenade, gadget, and utility in the entire game, I hope that you can understand my perspective a little bit as to why my tier list looks like this. Currently, I have hundreds of hours played in Arc Raiders already, and I have over 25,000 tracked hours on Steam and other platforms on video games specifically. So I'm speaking from a lot of experience here. This is going to save you a ton of time in regards to figuring out what grenades, gadgets, and utility you should be prioritizing whenever you're making loadouts in Arc Raiders.